We are so thrilled on this morning where we're getting lots of information in different ways, but we're so thrilled to welcome back to the show Sarah Cho. I'm tripping up over my words, but she is a licensed clinical social worker and she is a board-certified behavior analyst. She has extensive experience over many, many years working with individuals on the spectrum. And I'm saying individuals on the spectrum because the wide age range that you have worked with, from children through adults, I think is almost unprecedented. You're a great expert in this field.
Thank you.
And we've asked her to come in here on the fly to talk a little bit about these new CDC numbers. So as you heard this morning, they've come out with 1 in 68 children in the United States, 1 in 42 boys, 1 in 189 girls. And as a provider of autism services, I would love to hear your reaction about what these numbers mean to you and what needs to happen.
That's a really big question.
It is. It is.
I think when I saw the numbers come out, this morning, you have kind of that just initial response, and my heart just dropped. And from a clinical perspective, I just feel like I'm failing and I'm not doing enough. And as a company here at CARD, we need to do more. And then I also think just that the numbers themselves probably aren't completely accurate. We probably have a lot of individuals out there who are being undetected. So the numbers probably should be more. That's kind of my second thought.
Yeah.
And I think that we really need to look at all of the different areas where we are providing services, and we need to look at what we are doing to make our services readily available, easy to access. I think about those families who are coming to us at clinics where we have wait lists, and frankly, that's just not acceptable. We need to be able to make an impact for these children right now. They just can't wait.
Because the thing that we know for sure is that if we can get an early enough diagnosis, we really have our best case scenario, but that anytime there's a diagnosis, we have interventions that are extremely helpful in creating progress.
Absolutely. And so what we need to do when I say we need to be immediately accessible is if I have a parent who just got a diagnosis, the sooner they can get into treatment, the sooner that they can start receiving intensive ABA, the better outcome, the better prognosis that they have for their child. And so what we don't want to see happen is, go to a provider and just end up being on a wait list for a long period of time, or, have an assessment started and then have maybe a delay from when they actually have a trained, qualified therapist being able to go out and provide the one-on-one ABA that the child needs. So, from a practical perspective, how can we reduce that time?
Yeah.
How can we just make it easier for, those families to get into treatment right away?
Well, and one of the reasons why CARD is the premier place to get your children, and I say this as somebody who knows because my child was treated here, but one of the reasons why it is so good is because you take those things to heart, and your CARD is better at it than any other provider that's out there, getting our children treated as soon as possible from time you get to the door to a therapist at the door. You're better at it than anyone, but that is why you're so good, because you're constantly asking, how can we do it better?
And we're constantly also looking at where do we need to go. And so, that was the other, kind of thought process I had this morning when we were looking at the information is, where are there families or where are there, children where maybe we don't have a clinic?
Yeah.
Where do we need to go? Where do we need to expand so we can meet this demand and make sure that these families and these kids are getting the services that they need and at the level of quality that they actually require as well.
And I have to say, a lot of people write in and say, I'm not near a CARD provider. And we've talked before on the show about how new offices open in different places, and I should let everybody know that you may not have an office near you, that there are workshop services that CARD goes all around the world. There's no place on the world that they don't go, but a parent has to reach out, and that when groups of parents reach out and say we want workshop services, that tends to be where the next office goes, because when you speak up and say I have a need, then CARD has been very responsive in going where the need is. services?
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you have any families that are listening and, you're interested in receiving card services, please reach out to our admissions department right away. If we don't have a card office in, proximity to where you are, we would essentially hook those families up with our remote clinical services, and we would provide workshop services, in the interim until we'd be able to open a card location nearby.
But the takeaway here for us is, regardless of what the numbers are, it just increases. If the number goes up, then it just increases the need, and we know that there is hope.
Absolutely.
And encourage everyone to start services as soon as possible. I personally will say go first to the Center for Autism, centerforautism.com, and see if you can get services, because you guys do it better than anybody else.
And just don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Start right away.